I am a little late to the guide train, but at least I'm here now. Miyabi is finally here and the power creep is insane. If you miss out on Jane or Bernice, then Miyabi is the one for you. I'm very lucky to have won my 50-50 on her and can't wait to show my work. For her traces, focus on her basic, skill, and ultimate. Also, check out my Discord server. I made it so I can get to know my community a little more and answer any questions that you guys may have. Whether it's builds or more in-depth character questions, or you just want to say hi, I'm just a ping away. If I managed to help you out at all, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, on with the video. When Miyabi deals frost damage, she applies ice fire to the target for 30 seconds. When accumulating frost buildup against targets with ice fire, Miyabi's frost anomaly buildup is increased by 100% of Miyabi's crit rate up to a maximum of 80%. This means if you want to maximize your buildup with Miyabi, she needs to reach a maximum of 80% crit rate after buffs. Frost is considered its own element, but it still triggers freeze, shatter, and frostbite. This also means both frost and ice can be used to trigger anomaly disorders off of each other. When Miyabi triggers frostbite on enemies suffering from ice fire, she triggers Frostburn. Frostburn deals frost damage equal to a percentage of Miyabi's attack. All members will accumulate more anomaly buildup by a percentage when attacking an enemy under the Frostburn state. And finally, upon triggering Frostburn, Miyabi gains a point of Fallen Frost. For her team passive, Miyabi's held basic damage increases by 60%. Additionally, whenever a squad member triggers a disorder, Miyabi gains 2 points of Fallen Frost, and her next held basic attack will ignore 30% of the target's ice resistance. For such an overloaded character, she's actually pretty simple. Miyabi is our first Frost Anomaly unit, and her main focus is anomalies. I know, crazy right? Under Miyabi's portrait, you'll see your stacks of Fallen Frost. These stacks are consumed whenever you hold your basic attack button, and can only be used when you have at least 2 stacks. You can charge your basic attack up to 3 times, with each level gaining a much stronger damage multiplier. There are 3 ways you can gain stacks of Fallen Frost. Your EX special gives you 2, your ultimate gives you 3, and when your mandatory team passive is activated, you gain 2 stacks whenever anyone procs a disorder. A little extra fact about Miyabi is that you can swap cancel out of her fully charged basic and she'll still deal the damage, which not only means you can continue fighting after you swap, but you can ult right after.
Mind and body.
First, I'll be talking about anomaly teams and then move on to stun teams. This also depends on who you have and how you want to use the character. Do you want a hyper carry? Then go for a stun team. Do you want a dual DPS? Then go for anomaly teams. Just a reminder that the only restriction with Miyabi is that she needs a support or someone from her faction in her team to activate her team passive. And this passive needs to be activated. For Miyabi's best anomaly team, we have Miyabi, Caesar, and Yanagi. But if you didn't pull for Caesar, then Seth with Yanagi is a good choice. And if you didn't pull for Yanagi, then Caesar with Lucy is pretty solid as well. Don't forget Bernice and Lucy with Miyabi is a good pairing as well. It's not as synergistic as Yanagi, but as long as you're constantly switching and proccing your disorders, then no harm, no foul. Now, we'll be switching to stun teams. I've been looking at other creators' guides and seeing what they personally recommend, and some of them are actually pretty solid, like Miyabi with Lighter and Lucy. What makes Lighter shine the most is his passive ice res reduction and his ice damage boost. Miyabi with Qingyi and Harumasa is apparently a pretty good team as well. As I've stated in the Harumasa video, which you should check out, I've only used him as the sole hypercarry myself, but seeing the gameplay from Iyo's video, it looks pretty solid. I recommend giving it a try. Now onto the teams that I have personally used and absolutely love. Lycon and Sokaku with Miyabi is solid. Lycon makes the enemy receive more damage when stunned, and he reduces the enemy's ice resistance. Sokaku buffs the swapped in member's attack and increases the whole squad's ice damage. Don't forget, if you have Sokaku's M4, then she also reduces the enemy's ice resistance as well. But my personal favorite has got to be Miyabi, Lycon, and Nicole. Same thing as before. Lycon increases the stun damage multiplier and provides ice res reduction. Nicole reduces the enemy's defense for free as long as you have her debuff up as much as possible. The team synergies work because Frost and Ice are considered the same element, so we don't have to worry about Lycaon's team buff either. You can also replace Lycaon with Qingyi, but Qingyi will be dealing less daze and Miyabi will probably do less damage. Yes, Qingyi does apply the biggest stun damage multiplier, but it's more optimal to have multiple reductions instead of one big multiplier. So now for the main question. Stun or Anomaly? As much as I hate to admit it, but Anomaly still wins in this case. Stun does get better as the fight continues, but Anomaly excels at killing enemies without relying on the stun window. You also have to factor in how fast you can stun the enemy in the first place. But what really matters is who you have in your account. I recommend putting together a team that me or someone else has recommended and just try it out. You might be surprised at what you would like to play. For the build, I recommend 4-piece Branch and Blade and 2-piece Woodpecker. For 1 to 3, focus on crit, attack percent, AP, and finally pen. For 4 to 6, I recommend crit rate if you don't have her signature or a W engine that gives crit damage, and crit damage if you do have her signature or a W engine that gives crit rate, ice damage over attack percent, and finally attack percent. For stats, I recommend having at least 2.5k attack. You should also have a maximum crit rate of 68 to 70% with a 1 to 2 ratio. This is because after you activate Branch and Blade, you'll gain a 12% crit rate buff which will maximize Miyabi's passive. For W engines, Miyabi's signature, Hailstorm Shrine, is pretty much her best by a long shot. It increases the wearer's crit damage by 50% and the wearer's ice damage by a maximum of 40% whenever you use an EX special or a teammate applies an anomaly. The thing is with Miyabi is that she's the first anomaly unit where her crit relies on crit damage. Yes, Jane can crit too, but she still scales with AP. So the only other viable options for W engines for Miyabi are Rainforest Gourmet and Lip Gloss. Especially if you're running an Anomaly team with Miyabi, then Lip Gloss is a great choice. The others like Roaring Ride and Weeping Gemini are still fine, but they're heavily reliant on energy users like Piper and Bernice. So you'll only really see benefits after using your EX special. And before you say it, Flame Shaker benefits off-field units. Stinger stacks with dash attacks and boosts physical damage. Time Weaver is just better on Yanage when she's in your team anyways, which leaves Fusion Compiler to be her only other W engine that she can really use. Or is it? Remember, Miyabi benefits from crit, so why not just equip a W engine that gives crit? W engines like Riot Suppressor, Steel Cushion, Herb Case, Deep Sea Visitor, Cannon Rotor, and don't forget the newest one, Marcato Desire. This does mean you won't be able to use the specific buffs from the W engines, but the most important thing is the crit. If you don't believe me, then please wait and watch the combat video. You won't believe what I've been able to do with the Steel Cushion and some lucky rolls. For Mindscapes, Miyabi's M1, 2, and 6 are her power spikes, but in my opinion, if you're deciding between getting another copy or her W engine, just get the W engine. Miyabi's M1 allows her charged basics to ignore 6% of the enemy's defense for every point a Fallen Frost is consumed. Additionally, when a fully charged basic hits an enemy suffering from Frostburn, Frostburn is immediately removed and increases all members' anomaly build-up rate by 20% for 10 seconds. Her M2 increases her regular basic attack and dodge counter damage by 30%. Upon entering the battlefield, Miyabi's crit rate is increased by 15% and she starts with max stacks of Fallen Frost. She also gains 1 point of Fallen Frost whenever her finisher hits an enemy. Her M4 increases her Frostburn break damage by 30% and upon triggering Frostburn break, she gains 250 more decibels. Finally, her M6 increases her charged basic damage by 30%. And while she charges her basic attack, Miyabi will execute every consecutive move until you consume all Fallen Frost stacks. Miyabi is probably gonna be the only must pick in ZenlessZoneZero. She's a monster with damage and can even benefit from not only Anomaly, but also stun teams. Hopefully, I was able to help you make or even fix your Miyabi. If I did, why not hit that like and subscribe button, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Unstoppable. It's over. Mystic shall pay. My blade is already. Waste of time. Purging slash. I won't budge. And one stab. Press forward. The brave fear nothing. A preemptive strike. No forgiveness. My blade is already heated. Press forward. There's no competitor. Weakling. No forgiveness. Let me give you a little treat. Victory, the only option. Yeah. Again.